Hi everyone, it's Tina Trevino for Latin Biz Today, and today I'm interviewing Tony Valdovinos, the inspirational Latino behind the true story of Americano the musical. The story chronicles his life as he finds out at age 18, when enlisting for the Marines, that he is an undocumented immigrant living in the United States. He's currently visiting New York City from his home state of Arizona in support of the cast and crew while they are in pre-engagement performances perfecting the musical. Tony's real-life story transforms him as he realizes he can do so much more to help his community, which leads us to Tony's founding of La Machine Consulting, a company that mobilizes voters, pushing for policies and programs that help underrepresented communities.
You must be so excited to have your show here in the city. It's like pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, it's a responsibility. I think New York is one of the most friendliest cities to immigrants in general in the entire country. So it feels really amazing to be here in the city. I know it's a big dream for a lot of the people who put this together. So I'm out here supporting them, doing the conversations, the interviews, just to trying to get the word out. Oh, well, my full name is Antonio Valdovinos de la Mora. I'm 31 years old right now. I run my own political consulting firm called La Machine Consulting, based out of Arizona, and we represent not only the West Coast but the East Coast doing electoral efforts. And what I did before this all happened, and just to be clear, I'm just in a way I participate I in the production and helping them over the last 7 years with the story, but ultimately, I'm not involved professionally with the development of it all. It's just I'm out here supporting just the cast and the directors and the writers.
Like, so technically, you're not a writer or a creative person. Somebody kind of came to you asking to share your story and do something with it. Then, really,
7 years ago, sat down with Michael Barnett, the director of the Phoenix Theater, and just told them my life story for 2 hours, my successes, my failures, my challenges, and they believed in writing it. And I just got behind the idea of it completely. And it's been now 7 years, and their goal has always been to land in New York. And it's very exciting to have people back home come out here in New York and have professional opportunities. This is the first show that's actually made it out here. So, I'm very excited about that aspect. But also the message that it carries.
Yeah.
And what I did honestly before is that I spent, and today to this day, I've spent the last 13 years back to back working on electoral efforts, helping elect a long line of men and women who have now not only served in different positions, city council, mayor, Congress, school board. That's the work that I do. So that's where they initially discovered me in the rubble. I had already done a lot of stories about the mobilization of voters, particularly how to engage Latinos to participate in the elections. And Michael and Jonathan, which are writers, reached out to me and wanted to explore writing my story, my work in politics. And that's how this whole thing started. I had never myself wanted to write my own story and put it in a musical, but there was a lot of people that did, and I believed in the mission and the opportunity to try and inspire anybody who's gone through any challenging moments in their lives and find some sort of success in it.
That's really interesting. I had no idea of kind of what your day-to-day role is, actually, and it's really interesting how it kind of merged together with this story into this whole musical. Like, what a really crazy trajectory.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely, I understand just the rarity of it, and everybody asks me, how do you feel? And honestly, I think sometimes there's an opportunity to do something bigger than yourself, and I think that representing dreamers and just anybody who's come to this country looking to put in hard work and build a strong life and contribute to society, the economy, I think, that's what we try to achieve here.
Did your early experiences, like, school, family, parents, did it kind of impact where you feel you are today? Were they very supportive?
Most definitely. I think for me, it was not about support. It was about principle and fortitude. My father had taken us as very young children to work, and we learned what it was like for my father to provide for us. We understood how dangerous it was and how hard it was on him physically, and we learned to just be there for him for so many years. Me and my older brother, and by the time that I was about to graduate, I knew that I wanted to join the Marines, and at that time, some sort of, I had always worked for my dad and never had needed outside employment because we just had so much going on. This was, I graduated in 2008. So right before 2008, my dad had a significant amount of work. And that's what I did. I did construction. I was legitimately a demolition person. I shoveled a significant amount, and I drilled a significant amount. And I really learned a lot in those years from my father, understanding the principles of very, very, very hard work. And we never got paid for it. We were always there because that was the job for the family. And my mother also worked, and she helped people get help with alcoholism. And I always realized my mom made a big difference in people's lives because I can hear the conversations she would have at her office, just helping people get to their classes. And I realized how somebody can legitimately make a difference for you by just pointing you in the right direction. And so I always really looked up to my mom's ability to organize and take care of people in a role. And by the time that I found out my parents, when I wanted to join, that I couldn't join, when the recruiter told me to provide documents, it was just very heartbreaking to realize that we had grown up very, very American and pledged allegiance to the flag since Head Start very proudly, and to realize that you're not an American and you somehow are invisible, don't exist, and technically cannot participate. That really put me in a very dark place, and I found that policy made all the difference, and I mean that because in a couple of years into community college, a bill was passed in Arizona that made it 600% more expensive for dreamers to continue going to school. And so what I realized as a young adult was that there was people who didn't know me, but somehow saw me as a problem, and a lot of other dreamers, and they went after our education, and they won. I mean, we legitimately lost our ability to afford to go to school, and I got recruited to volunteer in 2011 for the Democratic Party, and it changed my life. I met a bunch of dreamers, LGBTQ warriors that were there organizing communities to prevent policy from hurting communities, and in that experience, I met a Marine who legitimately, I believe, took me under his wing and mentored me for years. And I had the best role of the best jobs of my life was I ended up being a field director for his effort for Congress, and we were successful. He became one of the youngest Latinos to represent us in Congress, and I started my company right after that to continue organizing. I know a lot of people use the word activism, but I believe in organizing. Organizing is the 9 months of back-to-back, communications with people to try and mobilize the most powerful right that people have, which is the right to vote. And that's what I've done with my life. I've been inspired significantly by so many people that have come through, my journey, and I've been in their journey. Last year was one of the most successful years I've had in my career. We've helped elect one of the youngest women to ever represent us in the city of Phoenix, fifth largest city in the United States. And I'm very proud to be part of that work to help strengthen our communities all the way to where we have dollars going into our roads, and repaving roads so that neighborhoods have a little bit more pride in themselves. So I love doing the work I do now, and I'm out here in New York because I just absolutely want to support everybody who's part of this. And but my full-time role is running Law Machine Consulting to continue doing that work that started 13 years ago.
Would you have done anything differently along the way to change it, or do you think, it's kind of meant to have laid out the way it laid out?
I think it's meant to lay out the way it laid out. I think for many years I truly believed in my heart that things would change, and I legitimately spent 10 years seeking that. And I think leadership is at least something everybody can contribute to any situation. I'm very grateful, but I think that it was just all meant to lay the way it did, and it's hard to say that I could do anything different. I had very little options. The only thing I think I can tell you is that I wish I could have put away some of that anger of being getting pushed out of college through policy and not never going back. And I think now I'm 31, and I think I'm going to pay for my own education starting next year. And just as as not a backtrack and changing anything, but just mostly accepting and still deciding to be successful. And I think that that's why I love what I do, is that I met people who taught me to not give up no matter how impossible it felt, and it was. And to this day, I'm under the DACA program, and I apply every 2 years, happily, and it doesn't make me feel any different than anybody else. It's just I simply was born in another country and raised in this one, and that's the only difference. I absolutely believe in being the best citizen, and I don't mean that technically. I mean that
right.
Spiritually. This is like, are you a good neighbor? Are you and I've tried to do that. I think my mother really taught me to lead from the heart, and my dad taught me to absolutely work very, very, very hard and always deliver.
You have a strong background. Your parents sound like they were just phenomenal people, and passed that along to you. So you're very
absolutely
very fortunate. If you had to give our readers some advice about their career or their business, what would you tell them? What would you say?
I would say you have to invest in yourself. I think that when it hurts, when you're spending a little bit more money, when you're spending a little bit more time, when you're not sure of something, when something doesn't seem like a safe bet, I think that that's where you'll find the most success. I never was able to have a foundation, and I think that that's what allowed me to have my parachute open, is that I had to jump. And I jumped into business. I started a business, and that was 6 years ago. We just celebrated our biggest year last year. We've expanded a lot into the East Coast and built partnerships with other groups that are similar to us. And my advice is always take a risk and make sure that it bothers you, because if it doesn't, it's not something that's going to help you grow. And I think confidence builders is things that you should look at. For myself, for example, I decided to stay out here in New York for 2 weeks by myself, just to build confidence and just life, and traveling and meeting new people and professionally contributing to this show. And I think that that's investing in yourself, like legitimately showing up. And putting more time into it, not sometimes being uncomfortable and spending that extra hour writing a proposal that you might not get, and
right.
and that's been my biggest success, is that in politics you want to speak to voters, and you have to knock on 100 doors to get 20 people to answer, and then that's 7 people who will support you. So you can imagine that you have to do a lot of work, and that's what I've discovered, is that success is legitimately about continuously shoveling, whichever direction you want.
That's awesome. I love that. Get out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And my last question is, what would you say being Latin means to you in your career, in your business, in yourself? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think I draw everything. I've always told people that speaking Spanish is one of the most profitable tools that you can continue sharpening. I think that starting a business and running a business that pays $30 an hour, for folks coming in is a standard. It's a standard of of value. I worked a lot in unions in my career, and I realized that Latinos are some of the strongest organizers, some of the strongest workers, and I think that's what has encompassed our entire company, is that we are very, very, very proud of our hiring practices, of our approach to the communities, which communities we particularly want to serve the most, and that's the disenfranchised communities, the communities where you have a lot of what we call low propensity voters, which means that they're voting one out of the last 3 elections, and a lot of those neighborhoods get skipped. And so for us as an organization, we focus on delivering funds into those areas so that we can mobilize those conversations and really pay dues to every neighborhood and not cherry pick which areas are valuable, which happens a lot in politics. There's investments that go into a lot of areas, and there's a lot of areas that get ignored. And for us, being a Latino organization, being very proud of that, is the core of our identity and the core of our success.
Tony, it's so nice to talk to you. I really appreciate you
spending
time with me. I wish you all the best of luck with the show. I'm excited to see it myself. So
absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, Tony,
I hope to see you there.
Day.
Hey, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.